I'm really excited, for tips and tricks, this is the first time we've had non-clients, but leading and joining and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm just so excited that these two beautiful women decided to say that they would like to do this and help us with this new device that we can use on our phones. And so when Sophia asked me, I just thought that's a great idea. We would love to have you guys because you're part of us. You're the lead, actually. So just a hats off and happiness that these two great ladies are leading us today.
And we're very happy to be here. So in this session today, we're going to be talking about AI and the different AIs that we can use, but we thought it would be very interesting to see how we can use AI for common challenges we all face, like writing to doctors or medical offices, communicating with family about sensitive topics, dealing with customer service issues, staying in touch with friends, managing household businesses like contractors, utilities, and whatnot, and planning and organizing daily tasks. So we'll focus today on everyday communication. I know that Holly wanted a little bit more focus on that because we all know that you all guys have Be My Eyes on your phones, and you're very good with using your phones to asking them what's there. And now we want to see how AI can help us communicate better.
I had a question. When we
here.
use the Be My Eyes or Blind Square or the GPS, is that AI?
Yeah, Be My Eye uses AI to describe what is in the picture.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to be using AI today more as an assistant. Think about somebody that can read your emails to you or tell you this is what you can write, this is what can you reply. So mainly an assistant to daily living. So what happens when you're using AI? Could it be ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever model you prefer? You type or you speak your request. So most of AIs accept both text and voice input. The AI analyzes your request. It tries to understand what you're asking and the context you provide, and it generates a response. So if this response is generated by based on text patterns, it learns from millions and millions of information that is online. And then you get a reply by AI, and you can refine it. You can ask for adjustments, say oh, you didn't really like that. You can ask it to something completely different, or tell oh, this is not really what I meant. So what is actually happening? AI does not really look into the internet while you're talking to it unless you have a paid version. It uses pattern from text to predict what should come next in your response. It's like having a writing partner who has read millions of books, emails, articles, and can apply those patterns to what you're asking. So it's a very strange thing that happens, but very cool. And some things to know, there are free versions of AI assistant. We have ChatGPT, of course. We have Claude, that is my favorite. And we have Gemini Basic. And they use information that is not currently super current because it's not looking in the internet right now. But if we were to use a paid version like ChatGPT Plus or Claude Pro or Gemini Advanced, it will search the internet for us. So we're going to be talking about different things you can do with free models and things you can do if you have a paid model.
Kata, what is it that you're saying in the middle? ChatGPT and
Claude.
Claude?
CLAUDE.
Okay.
Like the name.
Like the heard of that.
Yeah, that one is my favorite. The one I use the most.
Okay.
Why?
Because it's better for long writing.
And
something
when we have to download that app?
Yes, you can download the app. It's available for free. But you have, with the free version, you have a limit to how long your conversations can be. If you have a paid version, you can just talk to the AI till the end of times. Yes, that's something that my husband usually does. We have the Google phones. We just bought a new phone a couple of months ago, so it comes with Gemini Pro. So my husband is usually oh, I'm just going to talk to AI today, and he uses to brainstorm.
And is Claude also available to work on a PC?
Yes, that's how I use it. All of these AI has a web version, like a web browser, or you can use an app on your phone. So I use both. So why this matters to you? Because when you are trying to use AI, you don't have to go to the web and try to find what you're trying to look for. It's just easier to just ask a question. Like for instance, yesterday I was preparing a burrito and I was like for lunch today, and I was like, should I put the sauce now or should I put the sauce later? And I just AI instead of like trying to Google like what other people are doing. I was like, put it later. I'm like, okay, that's a great idea. So even like small stuff like that, where you want to ask somebody and you have nobody around, you can just ask AI. So AI will work the same way every time, but you might, if you ask the same question, you might not get the same answer, but you will get something very similarly. The good thing about AI, when it comes to privacy, it is not looking information about you. It's using information that's already available. And you can guide it to have it reply in a communication style that suits you.
Can you tell me more about how you do that? Because I haven't tried that with AI yet. I'm not sure how you guide it to use your communication style.
Yeah, we'll get to that later on, but when I ask AI something or I'm trying to write an email, I'll be like, can you make it more friendly? Can you make it more professional?
Oh,
Ooh, that
okay,
sounds
okay.
a little aggressive. Or sometimes like something I do, I will write a upset email and I go through AI and like tone it down.
Boy,
Yes.
I wish that had been around when
Yes,
first
so-
came online. Who knew?
Oh, wow.
Okay. do you want
Yes.
to take sure the next part? Okay. So what AI can and cannot do, it's good to know kind of the scope of what AI can help with and what it cannot do. So AI is excellent at suggesting better ways to phrase things, adjusting tone and formality. So like Kata said, this is a great way to kind of refine your communications that you're sending out to reflect, you know, the style that you want. It can help organize your thoughts into a clear structure. It can help with creating lists and plans and offer multiple options to choose from. So an example of this is, you know, I'm starting a new program at Vista Center. This is what it is. I need help thinking of a title. Provide me with 5 options based on this information that I've put in here about what the program's about. That's how we landed on Resource Spotlight. I was like, I need some help thinking of a title.
Yeah, and I also learned a really cool thing yesterday, listening to a podcast. There was like this psychologist that said, if you're having like trouble like emotionally and you don't understand like what even you're upset about, just run to AI and tell it like what I'm actually upset about.
Oh,
Really?
Yes.
interesting.
Oh, that's good.
You don't have to pay
Access
for a
virtual
psychiatrist.
therapist.
Yes.
That's nice. It's expensive.
And she's free.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, if you have the free version. Things AI cannot do, access your personal accounts or information, yay. It won't send emails for you. It won't remember previous conversations. Each time you open it up, the chat starts fresh. So if you open a window to go work on something that you were working on a couple of days before, that conversation won't still be there. It doesn't save that information. So each chat is fresh each time you open the window or the browser.
Now, is that just in the free version you're saying? Because I have the paid version.
Yeah, in the paid version, you can save conversations and I go back to chats or even in Claude, I have projects. I use Claude a lot because in a project, I can upload a lot of information and then build on that.
Okay, yeah, because I've been using it for a week now, and I've been impressed when it goes back and pulls things that, you know, was from
Yeah.
like a few
If
conversations ago.
you're
Wow,
still
I
using the
remember
same
that.
chat, yes. If you create a new conversation, no.
No, it does too.
Oh,
I just did it
think
this
you- are you
morning.
using ChatGPT?
Yes,
Okay, ChatGPT like recently included that on their paid version.
okay.
Even after a while, you can ask it like, what is my personal like communication style? What am I good at? And it will remember. So ChatGPT, it does do that, and that's like a recent development they have.
Oh,
What does it cost to pay for it?
I don't remember.
You know what the fee is?
It can vary, honestly. It varies depending if you want to combine it with multiple bundles. But it's typically, it can be like $10 a month to $20 a month.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
I was
you.
thinking it was like 12, I'm sure.
So maybe you're gonna get into this later, and if you are, then we'll just, never mind. Um, okay, so would I say to ChatGPT, create an email to send to Patty, and this is what I want it to say, blah, 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 blah? Is that
You-
how I would do
You
that?
would need to then like copy that and copy that into your Gmail or whatever account you use.
Copy and paste.
Copy and paste.
Yes.
Oh, so is there a copy button there?
Yes.
Yes.
On GPT.
Yes,
Okay.
on
So
Claude as well.
it'll help formulate the content, but you can't actually send anything into or out of ChatGPT like you would
Oh, so
your
you
email
copy it,
inbox.
And then you put it, okay. got
Uh-huh, so it
okay.
won't send anything out for
Unless
you.
You
you
have
pay
to
for
pay
Google
for-
Gemini and you have it connected to your email,
There
and
is a
then
way.
you can use it.
Well, there's a share button at the top on GPT.
Yes, but the share button will like copy the text, or like in Claude, it produces an artifact or some sort that you can share that. So it creates kind of like readable version, but it won't be an email.
Oh, gotcha.
And the last thing AI cannot do, and I think this is a little weird how this is phrased, but replace your judgment about what to send. So it may provide content about its suggestions, but obviously like you don't have to use it.
Yeah, at
Is
the
that-
end of the day, you press send, not AI.
Yes. So there's always ways to reformulate the content that's in there. So the main players that are all free to try that we've mentioned a few times now is ChatGPT, which is a good all-around helper, easy to use. It's probably what I use the most, but I have less experience about Claude, which is Kata's favorite.
Yeah.
Which, as she said, is excellent for longer, detailed writing tasks. And then there's Gemini, which works.
18319990991 has joined.
Okay.
Who's just joined us by phone?
It's Betsy.
Hi, Betsy,
hi, Betsy.
welcome. So Gemini is the third kind of common one. It works especially well if you use Gmail or Google services. So it sounds, Kata, like there are ways to connect it to your
Yes.
personal accounts. for
I
getting things out.
use Gemini and Claude the most. It's like personal preference depending on what I want to do. But I don't think like since I started using AI, there's a day I have not used it unless I have no reception.
Then we have our brains. So how to access them? So all.
Can I just
Yeah.
mention something? This is Bob. Patrice and I were just talking at the beginning. And so Meta, with your Meta glasses, they have the new AI program, and we're just trying to figure out how to use it. So that's
Oh.
another option.
Yes.
We're
There-
we're in a
There
place.
are more models than this. There are so many new AIs. There's like but these are just like the most common ones that people use. But there's many to tailor to different stuff. Like for instance, like a lot of coders use Claude, or it depends. Like in the news, it changes every day. What new feature they have, what can you use it for, and it's just gonna keep growing.
Well, and when we have our meta tips and tricks for all of those who have meta glasses, to share with others, we'll be able to share all that stuff.
We've got a deadline, Bob.
We have to figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
So how do we access, for example, the ones that we mentioned, Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, they all work through web browsers with your screen reader, if that's what you use. I typically use ChatGPT just straight through my web browser as a tab. All except voice input, which is speaking instead of typing, if that's what you prefer. Most have smartphone apps, and there is no special software needed, just internet access. So now the next sort of portion of our session today, we're going to go over examples, email situations where you might want to use ChatGPT, just so you can start getting ideas about
Yeah.
how does this fit into how I can use it in my life. And I'm always learning every single day, like new ways to use ChatGPT, especially from Kata. I've never thought about using it in that way before. So do you want to talk about the first one?
Yeah, so we first thought we could start it with like 2 examples of where we have used AI successfully, like in our personal life. So my first example was I was trying to figure out how I was gonna be able to eat lunch every day because I keep working and I keep forgetting. And my husband eats lunch, he goes out every day, he's a contractor, so he ended up like eating like nasty burritos or salad that are high fruit lettuce, and I was like, oh, we're done with that, we need to start eating better, we both like doing sports a lot. So I went to AI, I told her like, I'm a vegetarian, my husband eats meat, I really like mushrooms, this is the equipment I have in my kitchen. Help me create a meal plan that will be easy for us to make, and we love to taste cuisines all over the world. So AI produced a meal prep guide for me in like 12 weeks with recipes that had ingredients that I've always seen on TV and that now I get to use. So every week, like in a different part of the world. And I'm eating such delicious salads. And my husband loves me more because of that.
And so you can just download that into your notes or something like that?
Yes, yes. So what I did is I created the plan and then I just copied it into a Word document.
Uh-huh.
And like I have it open on my computer every day because I just read what is the next item, and I'm like tweaking it a little bit because the proportion were a little bit off. I thought that we were like very big people, which we're not. So it does require, like what I say, the human in the loop. So whenever I get an answer for AI, like I need to read it because some things might be off.
Mhm.
For instance, it was making me do like 4 like cups of rice and 4 cups of like quinoa, and that was like, I don't cook often because my husband cooks, but when I did, I was like, oh, this seems like a lot.
Zoom user has joined the meeting.
Oops, I think we just had someone new join. Zoom user, would you like to just let us know who you are?
Hi, this is Perla.
Hi, Carla, welcome.
I'm getting a phone
About,
call, so I'm gonna mute.
Hi, welcome. We're talking about AI today. So we're talking about email situations or examples of ways we can use it. So sorry, back to you, Kata. Okay, yeah, I'll do the next one. So this is a good one for sort of getting the tone right, handling a delicate family safety issue. So an example situation, my family conflict. So the prompt that you might put into ChatGPT or Claude, needs to be a little bit specific about what you're wanting. So you might put, help me write a message to a family member about a safety issue that affects me as someone with vision challenges. They keep putting sharp knives point up in the dishwasher, which is dangerous when I'm unloading. I mentioned it before, but they continue the habit. I need to be firm about the safety concern while maintaining our good relationship. So as a result, the AI can help craft a message that focused on safety rather than blame, explained the specific risks for someone with vision issues, and offered a simple solution, point down placement.
Escape. Launch meeting dash quote tips and tricks quotas this week. Dash
Advocating for yourself in a positive way.
That's when I say like, I write an angry email and they go through AI.
Did you ask ChatGPT to give you that example?
That's an example that we heard from somebody over here that was like, oh, we asked AI and AI helped us. So we were trying to use examples that have worked in our real lives.
That are relevant.
Yeah, that are relevant. And now we're gonna go through some other examples of where we could use it. For instance, when we communicate with healthcare providers. Before AI, we could just text to our doctor like, hi, I need to cancel my appointment next week because I can make it. But if we were to use AI and we can tell it, like, help me write a polite email to cancel my doctor's appointment. I need to reschedule because of transportation issues and I want to request a new appointment soon. If we put that to AI, this is an example of what AI can give us. Dear Dr. Smith's office, I need to reschedule my appointment on date. due to an unexpected transportation conflict. I apologize for any inconvenience. I would appreciate scheduling a new appointment at your earliest convenience. Thank you for your understanding. That is a lot better than, hi, please, I need to cancel my appointment. Like another situation that we might encounter, your adult child, not mine.
We are adult children.
Yeah, we are adult children. Sends a long, complicated email about family plans, and you want to respond thoughtfully. So, what could you tell AI? Tell her to respond to my daughter's email about the Thanksgiving plan. I'm excited to host, but I'm concerned about my energy levels. I want to sound supportive, but also realistic about what I can handle. So the AI could tell you like how to handle that and how to write a proper communication and help us with communicating in a way that is not conflict and just like advocating for ourselves. Or for instance, something that happens, these I've used a lot too. Not for internet this time, but for other stuff. Like you get an internet bill that seems wrong and you're frustrated. You're like, oh, they're charging me for this, and this is not right. And what could you ask AI? Like, help me write a firm but polite email to my internet company about an incorrect charge on my bill. I want to resolve this without being confrontational. And that's something I use a lot because I am confrontational. Yeah, I'm a spicy South American. So that's where I need help. And it usually like helps me see, oh, and I get better results. Because if you reply angry to some internet provider, they will not help you. But if you reply in a polite way, they're like, sure, let me help you out.
Yeah, that's a really good example for customer service issues, I think.
So we are gonna go on like now like ways of how we can ask, because we talked about a situation, but now how do we ask AI to do stuff for us? Instead of a complex techniques, we're just gonna go over some simple ways of asking AI. For instance, like help me write a thank you note to my neighbor who helped me with groceries. Help me write to my insurance company about a billing question. Or another one is like make this sound more friendly, make this sound more professional, make this sound less demanding. That one is for me. Another one is I want to tell them, but I don't want to sound. For instance, I want to tell my son that I'm worried about his health, but I don't want to sound nagging. I want to complain about poor service, but I don't want to be rude. And with that, we can also talk about the power of context. The more context we give AI, the better of a reply we're gonna get. For instance, we can give AI some background information. I'm a 70-year-old
I lost you. I can't hear you guys.
really easy ways. Sorry, did somebody say something?
It was the computer.
Oh, the computer, okay.
Yeah, that whole last piece blocked out.
What?
It cut out. Would you like us to say?
Yes, yes, please.
Sure. Yeah. And this is actually a really important point anyway. I have found that when you put in enough context, the output from AI is much better because it understands who you are and what you're asking for. So giving the AI background information, such as I'm a 70-year-old writing to my 35-year-old grandson, like who you're writing to or who it's for. This is for my doctor's office and I want to be taken seriously. Or I'm writing to a company that has been giving me the runaround, so that they know kind of where you're coming from. Super important. Okay.
And now we're gonna talk about something.
Did that come through okay?
Okay.
Just want to double check.
Yeah, yes, that did.
Okay. Thanks, Perla.
And now we're gonna talk about something that sounds really fancy, but it's very easy. We're gonna talk about prompt engineering. That makes us sound that we are all engineers and we're all super smart, but it's actually just techniques on how to ask stuff to AI and get better results. There are many different models of how you can do it, and people keep coming up with stuff every day. But we are gonna use a very simple one that is easy to remember, CPT, context, purpose, and tone. For context, a context is about the situation. always explain the situation. I'm writing to my doctor's office. I need to insure my insurance company. Purpose, your goal. Be clear about what you want. Reschedule an appointment, dispute a charge, and tone, how you want to sound. Specify the feeling. I am grateful, but not overly emotional. Firm, but professional. So this is kind of like the magic formula, like help me write to who about what in a tone. So we have a couple of examples here.
I just wish Eric were here.
What would he say if he were here?
He would, well, what he does, sorry, it's not my spouse, but he'd like, pound the table and yell, well, it's on mute, and then they come back. Yes, well, he gets back to me. This is fun, sorry.
So I think this is examples that I just gave, but it's proving the point. Like, for instance, help me write to my son about my health concerns in a caring but not worrying way. Help me write to the utility company who about my high bill, what is the action, the purpose, firm but a polite way, the tone. So we are gonna go over, so I just wanna go over this one again. So it's context, purpose, and tone. So what is the context of what you're asking it to do that? What is your purpose? What is you are trying to achieve? And what is the tone you wanna use? The more you give to AI, the better will be your response. Advanced techniques that I personally use when I am like dealing with information that I write. For instance, the before you write method. So if I get an email and I don't really understand like what they're asking or like what is it that they want from me, I put it on the AI and I can ask it like, before you write the email, like tell me think this through. What does the recipient care about the most? So it helps me like understand what is being asked from me. More than just like, help me write a reply. I want to reply this. Sometimes I don't even understand what they're asking. So like, help me understand what you're saying. Another option is like when you're not sure like how you want to sound or what you want to do, you can ask AI to give you two versions. You can say like, for instance, give me one more formal and give me one more friendly. And then you can choose like which one you like better. And there's also like what we call refinement. You might get an answer and you're like, oh, that doesn't seem quite right. Like, oh, that's kind of like too nice. I'm not nice, but not that nice. You can ask AI to make adjustments for you. For instance, you could ask your request, like you're like trying to reply to your son or whatever, and you get a reply back. You're like, you can ask AI to make this warmer or make this more direct. Or you can ask it, keep the same message, but make it shorter. Because sometimes AI just like goes crazy. It's like, blah, 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 blah.
Gives you an essay when you want a paragraph.
Yeah. Like, I need something. Yeah, I got condense the information, make it shorter,
Make it
change
more
the size,
concise.
make it more concise.
Yeah.
Or like get rid of some of the fancy words too. Sometimes people will write stuff like, yeah, that's not a word that I would use. So like, make it simpler. For instance, some quick examples of common situations, like help me write to my doctor describing my symptoms in a clear and factual way that help them understand the severity. That's what I'm saying. You can just like write to AI, like I'm feeling this, and that. Help me write to my doctor.
And sometimes it might come out with a response and then later you think, oh, you know what? Reading the response, I actually should have added this in too. And you can create additional iterations to say, let's add another sentence or two about this. Let's throw in this detail, and shorten it. So make it more concise.
It's really like a writing assistant. You can just like brainstorm with AI. You can tell it what you want and it will give you something. You're like, oh, this is not quite right. Add this, add that. And honestly, you can spend hours just getting the right message. So like, don't go that far. It's not that deep. Or for instance, like help me respond to my family member about a situation that is supported but doesn't overstep boundaries. Or when we have like consumer issues, help me write to this company about this problem that I'm having in a way that's firm enough to get action, but professional enough to maintain goodwill. That is one that I use the most because it's very hard when you're dealing with frustrating situations, keeping your cool and responding in a way that is productive.
Maintains a positive.
Yeah.
So I know that this group went over Google Keep a while ago. And I know some members here like to use Google Keep for lists. Google Keep.
Google Keep.
Oh.
Yeah, I think there was a session, I remember uploading a session where somebody was talking about Google Keep and how you can make lists on it.
Oh. Right,
Mhm.
I remember that. You could download it and then, you know, we were comparing it to notes
Mhm.
or things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
May I ask a question about email before we move
Yes.
to that, please? So I'm trying to envision if I am reading an email on, for example, on my iPhone, how do I overlay or a ChatGPT to be able to dialogue with ChatGPT about that specific
You will
email?
need to copy and paste.
Copy and paste the email
Mhm.
into ChatGPT, so it has material to analyze.
Yes, so for
Yes.
instance, one prompt that I will
Oh.
use, I need to reply to this email in a like friendly manner. This is about blah, 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 blah. And I enter the prompt and then like Claude or ChatGPT is like, okay, like send me the email and then copy paste the email.
Okay, so there's, even if I had a paid version, there would not be an overlay where I could bypass the copy and
It
paste.
depends on the paid version. For instance, in Gemini, if you have a Gmail and you have the paid version, you can like use it on the Gmail itself. You can use it to summarize your emails and whatnot. If you have AdBlock and you have Copilot and you have the paid version, it will like appear there and it will tell you like Copilot can suggest ways. But that is a little bit more complicated and you need to pay it and make sure it's integrated. The easiest way is just copy paste.
Okay, makes sense, thank you.
Yeah, you basically use the AI to workshop your
Mhm.
content and then you put it back where you want it to go out from.
Totally makes sense, thank you.
So could I ask a quick question? When if you're just looking at an email on your iPhone, right, and you just want to respond, can't you just, you know, you're in your email, isn't there, you can turn on voiceover and just, okay, reply, dictate, hey, bro, I'll call you later when I get home. You send, I mean, is it that just a much easier way of doing it? Whether you don't need AI to construct a whole email with, you know, whether it's don't be too angry, be friendly, if you don't have to do all that stuff, is it easier just to do it straight from your email with
Yeah,
voiceover?
if you don't have if this is like for when you need assistance, if
When you
you
need
just need to reply to somebody, like
Yeah.
if I need to text my husband, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna.
You're not gonna use
Go
AI.
away, yeah,
Text
like-
your husband, yes.
I'll be home when I'll be home. Yeah, we're talking about
Put that in
like.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, put that in.
You write this to maintain goodwill.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to show something, going back to my example when I used my meal prep guide. And just want to show something cool about like integrations and whatnot with Google Keep. I know that you might not use Google Keep, but I'm just gonna show an example of what Gemini can do. And I have the paid version. So in the paid version, you get to attach stuff or take pictures and ask it to do stuff like that. So what I'm gonna do right now is I have my meal prep guide open. I'm gonna take a picture of it with my phone. I'm gonna attach it and then I'm gonna ask Gemini, please make a Google Keep with everything that is on this picture.
Oh, wow.
Just a sec. And it says,
Okay, I've created a Google Keep note with the meal plan from the image.
and I just open it and I have a new Google Keep with my shopping list.
Oh, my gosh.
It translates it from a meal plan to a shopping list?
Yes, so I just took a picture of my what I have on my computer right now and asked it like make a Google Keep list. So now I have a shopping list of what I need that I can share with my husband. I can send him to do the groceries. That's what I usually do.
Wow, with amounts, does it transfer the specific amount you need for that specific.
Yeah, so my list says. Week 2, complete meal plan, Mexican and Middle Eastern fusion. I have mushrooms, avocado, mango, sweet potato, and the list goes on.
What time is dinner?
But her question was, does it actually tell you get 2 cups or 2
Yeah,
potatoes?
it's like 1 pound of mixed mushrooms, 1 avocado,
Okay.
1 mango,
It does.
half a butternut squash. I don't know how to get half, but.
They sell.
Got that so on your computer, is it a picture of a plate of food?
It's a picture, this is like the meal prep guide that I produced before, and it has the list here. But what I don't wanna do is like start typing everything or copy paste. I just take a picture and I like create this for me.
It's like a screenshot?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
It saves me a lot of time, or for instance, this is gonna be like very funny, but my husband and I, we like to play video games together and we like to play Diablo. And sometimes it will appear stuff on the screen and we don't know what it means. So I just take a picture of my TV with my phone and I ask Google like, what does this mean? What do we need to do? And it was like, in Diablo 3, you need to blah, 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 blah. So it's something that saves me a lot of time, and like, again, going over the internet, just because I have like the paid version of it. Or you can use it, for instance, like create a list for my birthday party with sections, guests to invite, group to prepare, and supplies to buy. It will make it up, but you can tweak it afterwards, but it will create a list that you can share, which is very nice.
Let's read out the other examples that you have.
Sure.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
So some other examples that Kata has provided about AI lists are things like medical management. So for example, you could say, create a Google Keep list for managing my medications with sections for morning pills, evening pills, and questions for my next doctor visit. An example for household tasks, you might say, make a keep list for winter home preparation, organized by priority, things I must do, things I should do, and things I can hire someone to do.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So with Google Keep, is that another app to download or does that?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that is another, like, I am a Google person, so I have everything Google. But Google Keep, I think you can also download on.
You can.
On iPhone.
On
Yeah.
iPhone?
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's very good to like make lists of stuff, and I find it a little bit better than notes because I get to check stuff off.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a checklist, and that's what I use it for.
Mm.
When I'm doing, especially for groceries, that's what I use it the most. So like, I just realized I have, like, I'm missing like, I don't know, toilet cleaner. I just put it there, and like when I go to the supermarket, I already have my list made. And or I can even ask AI like, hey, add toilet cleaner to my list in Google Keep.
Oh.
A question, we can open our cabinet or refrigerator and take pictures and it'll make a list.
Can you say that again, Elizabeth?
We can take pictures of like our vitamins or things we
Yes.
have in
Yes,
the
you
refrigerator
have
and it'll make a
Gemini,
list.
and I think it also works with Apple Intelligence. I have not used that because I don't have an iPhone, but I know that Apple Intelligence uses ChatGPT, and the paid version allows you to upload pictures and ask it to do stuff for you.
Okay, great.
And now I want to give an example. This is one of the use cases that my husband uses the most with paid version. Remember, we talked about unpaid versions are not able to search on the web. So they're very good to help you write stuff, but when you want something that is current, you can ask a paid version to like do the Googling for you of like a product. For instance, just give me an example of something that you might want to buy. Or like something that we just did, that my husband just did. So I'm gonna open my Gemini app and I'm gonna be, 1 second. Help me find a cheap AC that will work well for a small house.
Finding a cheap and effective AC for a small house involves considering a few key factors.
Wow.
The type of AC, its cooling capacity, BTUs, and energy efficiency. Types of AC units for small homes. 1.
Okay, it gave me an essay of like what should I consider. But at the end of it, it gave me 2 recommendations of products: a Black Decker for $310, and a Toshiba. It didn't give me the price, but I can ask it. Give me the links for the product you just recommended.
I cannot provide direct product links as I am a language model and do not have real-time access to specific product inventory or the ability to browse and link to e-commerce websites. Product availability and pricing change constantly. However, I can tell you how to find these products and similar ones and what to look for. You can typically find these brands and models at major retailers that sell home appliances and electronics.
Well, then after that, I'm just gonna stop it because he gave me an essay again. But it tells me like, you can go to Amazon.com, you can go to Walmart, you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's. If you wanna do a decklist mini split, go to minisplitwarehouse.com. When you search, type these keywords to the brand: window air conditioner, portable air conditioner, ductless mini split, or stuff like that, and it helped me like choose what I wanted, how I wanted it, and what things do I need to look up. So it saved me the whole like doing the research, like going on Google and comparing stuff, that because I am one of the persons that will Google a lot before I buy anything. So it kind of does like the research for me. And what I love the most is that I just have my phone and I just talk to it, and it recommends products based on what I need. And this is like what I was using yesterday. I was like, should I add the sauce to my burrito today or tomorrow? And it tells me like, some people say that it's better the next day because, oh, your burrito will get soggy. And I'm like, oh, that's a great point.
So some of the examples that Kata provided here for getting product recommendations, I'm just going to read them out just so we can kind of brainstorm. Along the lines of medical equipment, you might ask, search for highly rated talking blood pressure monitors under $100. That's super specific. I need something accurate and easy to use for someone with low vision. So you can tailor your ask, with that extra context. For household items, you could ask something like, find reviews for kitchen timers with loud alarms and voice announcements. I want something reliable for cooking safely. If you wanted to research about technology, you might ask, research smartphones with the best accessibility features for someone who uses a screen reader. Compare options under $400. So again, you can put in.
Good luck.
Yeah.
None available. None available.
Zero
But
results
it's
found.
you're like, oh, unfortunately.
Use from Johnny down the street.
Or this was like another recent tips and tricks session we had along the lines of services. You could ask, look up grocery delivery services in my area that have good accessibility features and customer service ratings.
That's good.
And how to ask for better research, again, is providing that context. So being specific about your needs. I am this person. These are my, needs. I need a product that works well with screen readers. Find options that don't require fine motor skills. Look for services with good customer support for seniors. And also asking for comparisons. Compare the top 3 options and tell me the pros and cons of each. Or which of these would be best for someone with this, someone on a fixed income, someone in this climate, this area, it depends on what you're asking for. Also important to request practical information like Kata did. Include where I can buy these locally or online, or tell me about return policies and warranties, or maybe find user reviews from people with similar needs.
Again, it's just like having an assistant that is a lot better than Alexa. Whenever I ask Alexa something, it gets frustrated, and I'm like, I can't wait for her to be smart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
The problem I've been having lately is, and it just happened, with Siri is, on the internet, look up stores that carry, walking sticks for blind people. And every single time she says, do you want me to go to ChatGPT for that? No, I want you to look it up. but she won't, she just keeps, it's a circle, it just goes around and around and around and around. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is that Siri doesn't seem to want to take you to the internet anymore for you to pick out the website that you want to go to. I don't know if I'm saying it wrong to her, I don't know what's happening, but it's changed.
Yeah, they might be like, AI is the future, you need to use it,
Yeah,
they're
so-
forcing you.
I think so, I think it's an overlords thing, yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's taking over.
Okay, so. Yeah, I was a little bit nervous about AI, but now I use it a lot in my work for various reasons, just to help things seem more professional, to save time. It's just a really efficient tool. It's not always perfect, but it can get you close to where you need to be. I see we have a hand raised in the Zoom room. What's Vista Center ATT?
Yes, that's me. I'm just in my office. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Hi, Roberto.
Okay, so I know we kind of you guys mentioned a few categories regarding using ChatGPT. Some things to know in regarding accessibility. So when you do use for example, Gemini or ChatGPT to search for products, what it does is it takes you to a browser of its own. You're not going to be using Safari or Chrome. What you end up using is a browser kind of built into Gemini or ChatGPT. So the accessibility gestures you're maybe used to using may be a tiny bit different, nothing too big, but you are able to copy links and once you find what it is you're looking for. Um, and just I'm kind of gonna bounce a little bit, but also going back to the desktop browsers, us the AT team have noticed that Gemini for some reason is not as accessible as ChatGPT. ChatGPT works well with VoiceOver, JAWS, and VDA, so it's beautifully designed. So simple, so easy to use, but Gemini still needs some work on their end. Um, and sorry, I don't know what that was about. Either way, I just wanted to kind of add to that. Now, another
Thank you,
thing,
Roberto. No, that was helpful.
Now, I have a question for Roberto. With the chat
yes,
GPT, are you using the paid version or are you using the free version?
I bounce between both. So sometimes we have we shared an account to kind of explore what ChatGPT does. So we use both the free version and the paid version.
Cool, okay, thank you.
Yeah, again, it's personal preference, if what works for you best, it's like what kind of phone you have, like I have Gemini Pro for free because I bought a Google phone, so I'm gonna use it.
Right, and I
But,
have an
yeah.
iPhone, but in the iPhone, when you go into settings, for AI and Siri, there's an advertisement that it's very hard to avoid where they really want you to buy the version, you know, they're giving you the free version.
Yeah.
But if you really want to be smart, they say, you know, do the paid version. That's where it's at right now.
Yes, and if you feel like it's too much of an interruption, because sometimes it does where I feel like Siri wants to kind of push you to use ChatGPT,
Yeah,
and sometimes you don't want that push. You could disable it. You could where when you go into the Siri settings, you could choose just to use classic Siri versus AI Siri. So you do have that option to kind of disable ChatGPT, because in my experience, ChatGPT with Apple is still nothing compared to Gemini on Google. Gemini and Google, as Kata has expressed, it's amazing. It truly is AI.
Thank you.
But again, like I don't use Gemini to write email, I prefer Claude. Yep, so I bounce between, like as Roberto bounces between the free and the paid version, I bounce between models. I don't use ChatGPT that much. I do have it integrated with Excel, so sometimes I will ask it like the formula I need for that, because sometimes I might forget. I was like, I wanna do this and that, and like, it will tell me, use this formula, I'm like, oh, wonderful, it saved me the Googling.
Got it. Okay.
One difference too, that I've noticed between, for example, just ChatGPT, the free version is and the paid version. If you're using it for things like work or projects, and you want it to export the information that it's made for you in a format other than what it has given you on the browser, sometimes it'll ask you like, do you want this in a PDF format, or do you want this in an Excel document or spreadsheet? But you can't export it to these other applications without the paid version.
Yeah.
It's only sort of that copy paste technique.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you tell it to copy and paste with your voice?
I think like, for instance, for the version of Claude, what it does, it opens like a separate window, which is called an artifact, and it has like a copy button at the top, or publish. So
Okay.
because I can't remember, it's been so long since I started paying for that, I can't remember what the unpaid version is. But if I were to publish something, it creates it in a way that I can share it with anyone I want to. If I just created, for instance, some like brainstorming situation about, I don't know, how to get feedback, I just like publish and like I share it and makes it public, and I can share it with my husband.
But does that also, I was just exploring that feature and I'm confused about that. Does it also just put it out there? You've published it and it's now out there and anybody can
Yes.
access that information? It's not
If I don't know how they get access to that information, but it's information that you made public.
Yes, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
It isn't just between you and your husband, but once you
Yeah.
hit publish, it's out there
It's
in
out
the
there.
universe and
It's
anybody.
out there in the internet.
Okay.
So we do have a little part afterwards about like privacy and what is like the best practices for that. But we just wanna like set as a reminder that most of like the free AI models version cannot look at the internet, like Googling stuff
In a live
live way. It will look at the language it's been trained on. And this language keeps being updated every time, but if you were to ask it for the news or something like that, which some people have done, you might get stuff that is not current, so just keep that in mind. But with prepaid versions, it can like look in the internet as it is right now. Holly, you had a question?
I do have a question that prompts me. I was wondering about accuracy. We know AI is very much developing and going crazy. And sometimes it's not exactly accurate. And I had a situation this weekend going, looking up a menu instead of going Googling about a menu where we were going. I put it into ChatGPT and I gave specifics about the menu. We were going to 2 doors. And it came up with this beautiful menu on my phone. I could navigate it with the rotor line by line. And it gave me all the ingredients and what the name of the item was. I got so excited, I'm telling Bob about it. We get to the restaurant and I very proudly go up and I order the name. And she had no idea what I was talking about.
Yes.
And so I was just wondering if you could speak to accuracy and those kinds of situations.
Yeah.
It does incredible things, but clearly it seems
It
not.
does incredible things, but that's where I always call it, like you always need to have the human in the loop. Whatever AI writes, it might not be accurate. Use it as a system that will like help you like get better ideas, do brainstorming, but at the end of the day, you are responsible to making sure the information is accurate.
Right. Well, we had a good laugh about it.
Yeah.
Still somebody had to read the menu to you.
Yes.
It would be interesting to know whether AI made that up or whether that was something that was on a previous menu.
I wondered if
Yeah. Maybe it was a restaurant by that name in another city.
I gave specifics of Scotts Valley, California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So were you using a paid version?
No, no.
Maybe that's that older menu too, and it was like, oh, there's a restaurant there, let me create a menu for
There's a
you.
menu from 3 years ago.
But
that I'm gonna
if
do.
Holly
Yeah.
had done, Google this restaurant, it probably would have the current menu, is that?
There
Would
is a
that be
chance
the
it
other-
might, and there's a chance
Okay.
it might not, you
Okay.
just never know. Sometimes it will give me like very good answers, sometimes it will give
Yeah.
me stuff and I'm like, oh, I'm not too sure about that.
It does it with such great confidence too.
Yeah.
It's
It lies to you so good.
Yeah.
You know, but it's getting better and better. We
Yeah.
can trust in that. Can't we? Of course we can.
Yeah, so some things I want you to do in your own time is like practicing like your most like common email situations and figuring out how you can use AI to do that. For instance, like ask AI to help with first write an email yourself and then like ask AI to help you improve or make it clearer or more polite. Sometimes what I would do too, if I will write the email, like when I'm trying to change the tone, that's why I'm saying like context, if it, as much information that you give it to AI, the better your answer is gonna be. So sometimes I will write the email and I'll be like, make this clearer, like I just ranted, whatever it is that I wanted to reply. And I go to AI and I'm like, make it clear. And you will see the difference between the email you write and the email that AI wrote. And you'll be like, wow, this is better most of the time. Sometimes it makes me sound like a little weird. I'm like, yeah, that's not me. Or you can ask AI, like if I want you to try this on your own time at home too, like ask AI to adjust messages that you try, like what we were talking about, the tone, make this more polite, make this more diplomatic, make this sound more urgent, but still polite. Or again, like when you go home and you like start playing with your preferred AI model, like ask it to write an email about a situation. You will need to, for instance, like help me write an email about whatever it is that you want to write. Then ask add the context, like help me write to my son about this situation because add the tone. Help me write it in a tone that is, because this is what I want to achieve. And then like something that is very important and I do a lot, sometimes I would get an answer and then I refine it. So just don't go with the first answer that AI gives you. It's very good to brainstorm. You can always ask it like, they change this a little bit, add this, make that, but it's a good like thinking partner when you would see that email, you're like, oh, I forgot to add this. Oh, I forgot, I haven't thought about that. So it's a good brainstorming partner.
We have someone raising their hand in the Zoom room.
Hi, it's Perla.
Perla.
What, hi, boy, this is blowing my mind. Will it, okay, a couple of things. Corrections on spelling, for example, when you're dictating, will it do that? And also, will it translate?
Would it translate? Yes. So here's so when you I have this on in the next session, but for instance, when I am typing to AI or when even I'm speaking, I do have an accent, so sometimes it gets the words a little bit messed up. It doesn't matter. It like fixes it for me, and then I get whatever answer I get in the proper spelling and grammar. So you can just like rant to it or type, like I type very fast. So I get like letters in between that are not supposed to be there. And that's absolutely fine. Or when I'm speaking to, it would, if the word is like completely wrong, then I like ask it to like redo it again and try to enunciate it better. But you can like not be super perfect with the way you ask and it will still work. And sorry, and you said something else.
Are you talking about translating text into another language?
Yes.
My mom is a doctor. And this is a real life example that happened to me. My mom is a doctor and she asked me, there's this program opportunity in Africa that I want to apply to, but they are asking me to send my resume in English and her resume is in Spanish. And with doctors, there's a lot of lingo that needs to be very precise. You cannot just translate medical terms to the to whatever the translation is because it might not apply. So it needs to be when you transfer from one language to the other, it needs to be specific. For instance, like OR has a different word in Spanish. It's not operating room. It uses a different word that if you were to translate it without context, it will give you the wrong word. So they'll be like, what is this lady talking about? So I asked AI, so like, this is what I want to do. I want to translate this resume and I want to keep it like, this is for medical purposes. This is the language that needs to be used. So AI was able to give me the right terms. And it's something that I would have been able to done on my own, but it would have taken me days to do so. And with AI, I was able to do it very fast.
Wow.
Okay,
I do,
great.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I did want to add some notes on this piece. And one thing I noted, I remember that Sophia and Kata both mentioned is, so one big difference between the paid version and the free version is with the paid version, you can ask for a specific file. I remember you guys mentioned that. But one thing you can also do is make sure that it's accessible. So what happens is ChatGPT actually leaves some objects on the page. And so when you copy and paste the output of ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude into a Word document, it leaves some objects on the document itself or the email. And so with the screen reader, you're able to go and take them off. But with the paid version, you can actually ask ChatGPT to make sure it's screen reader friendly. So
Yeah, you can
those
put that
objects
on
aren't
your
placed.
prompt, like make it screen reader friendly. When we're giving context too, you can ask for that too. Something that I use a lot when I'm typing too, I'm like, put the most important information first. Especially when I'm writing to people who use a screen reader, I know that sometimes like when you're writing a very long email, or even if you're not using a screen reader, it's a good practice to have the most important information first. It just like makes it like more accessible and more easy for even like someone like myself. If I have the most important information first, then as I keep reading and I forget, I already know like where to find the most important information. Or for instance, like use clear heading. I avoid like complex punctuation. Organize this in a number list or other tricks that you can use to make the content like more easily to be read. So all are things that you can ask AI with as well.
Did you say that we can ask it to use headings?
Yes.
For writing?
I mean, it won't create the headings, you know, when you go into a Word document and you need to specify that that's a heading. It won't do that, but it will give you like clear headings, like you will know, like you will need to read it and you will, oh, this is a heading.
Visually.
Visually,
show,
yeah.
Okay. And does it bold it and make it stand out like a heading?
Yes.
But that's in Word, but we could play with that with what we use. Okay, great.
Perla, did you have any other questions?
But right now I'm okay, thanks.
Okay, just checking. I see your hand is still up. Okay.
That's me.
No problem, no problem. Kata also added some best practices for voice input. If that's the way that you are utilizing ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. So like she said, don't worry about perfect grammar when making requests. Always starting with context is a good idea. I'm writing to my doctor about, be specific about relationships, my adult son or my neighbor, and include tone preferences, friendly but professional, or concerned but not demanding. So some sample voice requests might be something like, help me write to my insurance company about a billing error in a firm but polite way. Create a keep list for my medical appointments with sections for questions to ask and symptoms to mention. Or make this email to my grandson sound more encouraging but not preachy. I know we're providing a lot of examples here, but it's just hearing them out loud. It gives you more, more ideas and inspiration about, oh, I never thought about using AI for that. So that's why we're providing so much.
That's like, yeah, and I
examples.
like discover a lot by the way each of uses AI, which I'm like, oh, I just did this with AI. And she's like, oh, wow. For instance, the other day I was uploading a photo to our LinkedIn. And I was like, let me see what AI can provide as like an alt text, because sometimes like I have a hard time like describing the picture because I already know like I'm there and like I don't know like what to write. So I gave it to AI and it gave me the alt text for it. So because I know whenever you go into social media, you're able to like ask Be My Eyes to tell you what's in the picture, but I wanted to make it as accessible as possible. So you don't have to go to a different app. to review it. So I was like, create the alt text for me because I just didn't know what to write about it. Like, I don't want to describe my outfit. I don't know. And he gave me a very good description. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And the only thing I had to change was like the woman on the right, that's me. And the woman on the left, that's Sophia. And it was wonderful. And it helps me, like, even with stuff like that, it helps me make my content more accessible.
And it's like, I do a lot of research on ChatGPT with work-related tasks, training sessions, things like that. If I want to structure a training session with a fellow staff member on how to use Canva, you know, I might go into ChatGPT first and say, what are the top 10 tricks for using Canva efficiently? Or what are, you know, best practices for soliciting in-kind donations for fundraisers? These are things I do, but it can help me organize my thought into a list and more professional and thoughtful language if I want to share it with somebody else. So maybe it generates the list for me, or maybe I put in the list and ask it to improve it or enhance it for me. So there's some examples of what I use it for too.
That's cool. I know one thing I think you guys, I don't know if you guys were going to touch upon this, but a fun part is when there's something you don't understand, like your maybe nephew, niece is writing in short form text. You're like, what is my you know, child, son, friend saying? And so you can run it through ChatGPT, say, hey, my kid wrote this. Can you translate this if I was a millennial or something like
Yes,
that?
I did give an example of that with email. Sometimes I don't understand what people are asking for me. I don't have a kid, so maybe imagine I could ask like a ChatGPT to tell me what pill is this barking about. But yes, that's a very, very good use, especially with communicating. I think like having AI for communication purposes is such a useful tool because it helps you communicate in a more clear and more accessible way. But it also helps you understand like what the heck are these people talking about in this email? What does this mean? And you can immediately tell when someone is not using AI because their emails are very bad.
Yeah, and even kind of going back to what you were saying about the alt text, ChatGPT I think is really good for like best practice. Even when I need refreshers, like I haven't made a social media post in a while, but I need to make sure I remember the alt text. I might ask ChatGPT, like remind me of best practices for, you know, what is important when I'm writing an alt text. And so there are some good reminders there. So the next session, I'll take the next session because I'm like, this is something that I use, and I think a couple of our clients in this room use as well, or could. Repurposing and transforming existing content for efficiency. So making your writing work harder for you. So basically what I'm referring to is using AI as a tool to take content that you or someone else has already written and transforming it for different purposes. This saves time and helps you get more value from your writing efforts. So for example, newsletter and communication examples. So there's a lot of information circulating around Vista Center in various formats, in emails, in newsletters, in articles, etc. And we like to share out that information, but sometimes we need to repurpose it for the format or, you know, the audience that we're sending it out to. So maybe I get a detailed email from someone about their volunteer experience, and this is something I want to share out as a testimonial or something like that. I might ask AI, like, take this email about the volunteer work at the annual health fair and turn it into a newsletter article, or I say blurb to keep it short, for my community group. Make it more general, inspiring, and include a call for other volunteers. So you know, I've kind of specified the tone there. If this was me, I would probably specify the audience a little bit more, who it's going out to, who sort of the readers or the stakeholders are. So that is something that I do when I'm sending you guys things that I suggest for the newsletter. I might have taken something from another place and condensed it, or took what I thought was the most important information and repurposed it. It's not exactly the same verbiage, but it might be really similar.
So would you then cut and paste your email and then put it in the text part of ChatGPT?
Yes, if it was an email
Okay.
or if it was an article, I might copy and paste from an article.
Uh-huh,
However, you know, I would take the text from whatever the original source
Right.
is
yeah.
and copy and paste it into, I would be using ChatGPT.
And then you have to copy and paste it after it's fixed it to
Mhm.
your,
Yeah,
Back
to your
to your
email
email.
or whoever you want to send it
you
to.
can't do it back to your email though, right?
Yes, you can.
You can copy and paste it back into your email.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so any output that any content that AI generates, you can copy and paste and put in another location. And with the paid versions, there are sometimes options to export it in
Mhm.
different application
Mhm.
formats.
And as one of the editors of the newsletter, I could always tell when she has sent me an article that's been written by AI.
Yeah, that's true. I know it definitely makes it more sort of generic. It takes out some of the special spark that we like.
Well, and
You know.
how I pick up on it is it might use 10 adjectives, you know, to describe one thing. And it's like, no, let's pare that back a little bit.
Yeah, so ChatGPT is also very fond of emojis. So anytime
Oh,
I
yeah.
ask for like newsletter blurbs and I put information in, it gives me like bulleted lists and it puts like an emoji at the end of every section or especially for like sometimes I use it for social media captions as well if I'm repurposing content. And so sometimes those have to be deleted because they're kind of all over the text.
Well, for instance, too, when I repurpose, like I take care of our LinkedIn page and when I repurpose content there and I'm like, oh, like now make a post for LinkedIn. And it will give me a bullet point. And I was like, I need to remind it, like LinkedIn does not have bullet points. Like you cannot format that in there. I'm like, oh, that's right. You're so smart. I love it when he says that, but he will tell me like, you're absolutely right. Like, I know I am. I know I am.
Thank you, Claude.
Thank you.
You know, you just triggered a thought for me. And one of the things that I've noticed is you can actually ask ChatGPT, I hate their title, ChatGPT, can you do this? And it'll come back, it'll tell you, and I'll play, if later on I can play an example of what I just did. But I was thinking about the newsletter and the problems we've been having taking the Word document and getting it into a format that MailChimp can use. And I'm wondering if AI will do that for us. If that's something we can play with.
Yeah, the possibilities and all the things are endless. And like when we have conversations like this and we share our own experiences and we share what we're using, it just creates more ideas for you guys and like what can I use it in my own life.
Another cool thing about repurposing existing content, and I didn't think about this because I've done it more bit by bit. We have something in here from article to multiple formats. So for example, if you have originally an article that you wrote about accessibility challenges, you can ask AI, transform this article into 3 formats: a brief email to send to local businesses, a social media post to raise awareness, and talking points for a community meeting. So it takes that same information and gives you multiple ways, formatting and things like that of ways to use it. Very efficient.
Yeah.
And
So
again,
I do that
sometimes it
too.
takes a couple iterations. You
Yeah.
always want to proofread and sometimes it doesn't come out quite right. It takes a couple, make this better in this way, make this tone different,
So
whatever.
sometimes when we do that too, and we ask AI like to do it in multiple formats, we could overwhelm it if it's something like very long. So what I would do is like, for instance, like make this an Instagram post and it gives me that. And then now I do another prompt. Now make this an email and it gives me the answer. Now make this a LinkedIn article and then it gives me there. So you can like iterate on that and that's like the different formats like later on. If you got like a weird like prompt back and you're like, oh, like it's thinking too hard, you didn't give me exactly what I wanted, you can like break down the ask in like 3 different parts as well.
Yeah, it can be kind of conversational.
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes you think of things later on. So some more sort of practical repurposing scenarios that I'm just gonna read, just for brainstorming. Under sort of the topic of personal advocacy, maybe the situation is you wrote a complaint letter about inaccessible city sidewalks. You could ask AI to take this letter to the city council and create, number one, shorter version for the local newspaper's opinion section. Number two, a summary I can share at neighborhood meetings, and three, key points for social media posts. So again, this is putting all of the ask in the initial prompt, and you don't have to do it that way. Sometimes you can ask it later on.
Yeah, it depends on what you get. If you get something that you're like, then divide your prompt into different asks. If you get something that is right, that's right.
This is another one for family communications that I think is really practical. I remember, Holly, you telling me one time that you planned your family vacation or your family reunion. Some sort of family outing.
Right.
So maybe your situation is that you wrote a detailed holiday planning information for one family member. With AI, you could say, turn this holiday planning email into a general family newsletter that gives everyone the same information without seeming like I'm micromanaging. I don't, that's not a new, that's just an example. I thought that was funny. I don't, today I come up with that.
Yeah, I came up with it.
Okay. Maybe under community involvement, the situation is you documented your experience with a new medical treatment. You could ask AI, transform my personal experience with this treatment into helpful information I can share with my support group, removing personal details, but keeping the useful insights. So the repurposing can be used in a variety of different ways. And it kind of takes the time out of creating something totally new with what you already have. It's a good time saver. So some techniques for content transformation might be about length adjustments. So you might use words like expand. Take this brief note and develop it into a full article with more details and examples. Maybe if you're me and you're wordy, you might say condense. Summarize this. If you've ever gotten like my actual emails that I've typed out, they are usually really long. So I try to condense them. Summarize this long email into 3 key points I can share quickly, because time is valuable. Oh, sorry, Holly, go ahead.
Oh, this is so powerful, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Or maybe bullet points, turn this paragraph into a scannable list format. So yeah, I'm really bad at that. I'm trying to be better about taking my information and making it easier to read over quickly and concisely, especially for my colleagues that might be using a screen reader or something like that. Kata uses this, I think, a lot, and you send a lot of all staff emails.
Yes.
And so I know that you're always really good about the accessibility components of those,
Yeah,
making it really clear.
I try my best to, like, when I write email, this is something that I used to do before AI, but it would take me a lot longer. And I am like very good at writing emails that are understandable. I think people don't take enough time to write their emails, especially when you're communicating with a broader audience. But now with AI, it just saves me so much time, This is what I want to do. This is the tone I have. And even like what I've been doing too, I give it like previous emails that I wrote to give it more context and give it like the tone or idea. These are some examples that I have of stuff that I wrote that I like with the format I like. So it just saves me so much time.
Yeah. And apart from things like length, you can also adapt it to like a different audience. So you might say, make this formal report sound conversational for my family newsletter. Or you might take something really technical like instructions or medical information. You might say, rewrite this medical information in plain language for friends who aren't familiar with the condition. Or you could take it from personal to general. So remove personal details from the experience and make it helpful advice for others. So besides length and audience, lastly, format changes. You can convert this email into a formal business letter format. You can take a list, like a checklist. You can say, turn this checklist into a flowing story about the experience. Or questions to answers. Take my list of questions and turn them into an FAQ format with helpful answers. Okay. Any thoughts or any questions there before I continue yapping? Through our long
Expand.
AI generated presentation that we have here.
If you have any suggestions, so my son has bought me this thing to where, I don't know if you guys have heard about it or not, but it's every week I get a new question, you know, like today or this week is all about what are some memories that you have in your family memories that you have in your young childhood. And so is there any way that I could use ChatGPT how would I do that? And then I could take and copy and paste it into their website.
So absolutely. So what you could do, for instance, you can ask it like, if you have your already memory like present and you want to write it in a way that is nicer,
yeah,
you could ask like ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever you want to use. Like, I want to write this. Like my son, it's making me write this for this. I'm guessing that he's trying to write a book.
yes,
Like I'm about my experiences. I'm gonna share an experience with you. Help me write it in a way that is more formal or that is easy to understand or that like is entertaining or like it captures my main points and you can just like jump to AI, blah 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 blah. When I was 3 years old, like I had a cat, blah 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 blah. And then AI will give you the paragraph and then you just can copy and paste that into the website.
perfect. I'm going home to play.
But one of the things that you may need to do, this is from, again, personal experience of using ChatGPT, is it's almost creating like historical fiction. So it's taking facts that you put in there and it's adding other details that may or may not actually have ever occurred, but it when I said, oh, these are typical things that other people have done. And so you've got to look at it and say, no, we didn't actually do that. And you have to edit it down.
Again, that's when you will get your answer and you can like ask it to take stuff out or not. But that's why I always say like human in the loop. If you don't review what AI wrote, you're probably gonna have something that is not true there.
Yeah.
So always, whatever you get, always the human in the loop, review it first.
Okay.
Review it first. I think that is one of the most important things I can share, like the human in the loop.
Okay, cool. So just going slightly deeper into newsletter and community content, and then we'll move on to sort of some best practices, but just more ideas of ways that you can use AI for regular features. Take meeting minutes, like transform these meeting notes into an engaging newsletter update that highlights decisions and upcoming events. Maybe we take an event recap, Voices for Vista, from last year and turn it into a promotion for next year. So turn this description of last year's successful event into promotional content for the next one. Seasonal content. So maybe holiday traditions. Take my family's holiday traditions and create a general article about meaningful celebrations that others might relate to as a feature on holidays or something. Or maybe convert my winter safety preparations into a community newsletter article with general tips. You know, these are things that could be used for tips and tricks sessions too. If you're doing any prep for whatever session is coming up on information that you want to share with the group.
Right.
Okay, so moving on to sort of best practices with privacy and personalization tips. So it's always good to keep, I think we all like to keep our personal information out of sort of content that we're putting into or getting out of AI. So you might want to say, rewrite this to remove specific names, dates, and personal details while keeping the helpful information. If you're taking something that already contains that information, you might want to ask ChatGPT to remove it before it creates that output for you. Maybe you might
Wait,
want.
can I ask a question? Yeah. So are you concerned at that point that the output that you get, you want that removed? Or are you concerned that ChatGPT has that personal information and they may do something with that personal information?
No, it's more so the first. For me, at least, it would be the first. So if I'm taking something like an email with a bunch of people's names in it. And okay, so-and-so is gonna do this, so-and-so is gonna do that, and maybe I just want to keep the titles in and remove the names when I'm sending this out to external partners or whatever. I might copy some text into there that has a lot of personal information, but I'll ask them to remove it with what it's giving back to me. I don't know.
But they don't keep any of that. That was, I think you started out with
Yeah,
that. They don't-
I think my personal preference is I try to eliminate any full names, like I have a point later on, like avoid full name as addresses, obviously account numbers and passwords, specific
Yeah.
medical details or financial information. I'm like, something that you will not put in the internet anyways, just don't put it out there.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, let's go on to this. So what's generally okay and safe to share? Some things like general situations, writing to my doctor, or tone preference, make it more polite. Types of relationships, my adult son. And like Claude said, maybe avoid sharing full names and addresses, account numbers, passwords, specific medical details, financial information. So anything that you probably wouldn't share with others. I typically redact before I put it into ChatGPT for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do that too. So if, for instance, I will be like, I am blah, blah, blah. I'm like the chief of staff of Vista Center, but I don't give my name, or
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'm trying to write to Bob, but I don't tell them like who you are. I think like a first name is okay, but I don't want to put like my phone number out there. I don't want to get any more spam calls. Like you never know like what could happen. So if it's something that you will never put out there anyways, don't put it on AI.
I think it's better context
Mhm.
too, when you use the roles of like job titles or things like that to describe like who you are or your audience is. It's better context for AI to understand rather than names.
Yeah, it's better. Like I would be like, I'm the chief of staff of Vista Center, but I won't be like, oh, hi, I'm Kata. Like I give a context about my situation without giving it like who I actually am as a person. Like I won't be like, I live here. No.
Here's where you can find me.
Call me if you have any questions.
Yeah, and my social security number is. A simple, like, we'll give like a simple privacy practice. So instead of saying, help me write to Dr. Johnson at Memorial Hospital about my diabetes questions, you might try about my diabetes medication. You might try instead, help me write to my doctor about a prescription issue. Now, again, maybe that's not enough information. Maybe you need to put in a little bit more. But the names and the locations and things like that aren't always sort of the key context that AI needs for its response. I see, does someone have their hand up?
Yeah, it's me again, Perla.
Hi, Perla.
Hi. I'm wondering, okay, if you want to do something that's fairly long and complex, can you save what you have and come back to it again?
It depends on what version you're using. In the free versions of things like ChatGPT, a new conversation starts every time you open that window. So it doesn't save that information from time to time. However, there are, I mean, apart from copying and pasting it, you can save it on your own to, your desktop or whatever. But I think the paid versions typically allow you to save things kind of as
for
projects.
instance, the ones that I use the most are Gemini and Claude, and those like save my previous chats. So sometimes I could go back in time and I was like reviewing a chat about something and I was like, oh, I could use this information again. I could go back and like find that chat. I don't know if like you can do that in the free version because I haven't used it in a while. Same thing as Gemini. I can go back to previous conversations and keep like talking to AI about the same subject that I was doing. I don't know if anyone has experience with the unpaid versions here, that could speak to their experience. I don't know. I think we're all like either new or like full on.
No, I've asked for ideas and this and that, but I didn't actually write with it or edit with it. So, this is a new experience.
Cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
I think we'll kind of, sure, Holly?
If it's okay, I had very interesting experience recently. I asked ChatGPT for a specific recipe, the Greek salad made by the barefoot Contessa, just to see what would happen. It came up, it was accurate, totally accurate. I could navigate with my phone with the rotor line by line. It was perfect. I went to my glasses, my Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and I asked the same thing, and it gave me this wild recipe,
Yeah.
you know, 10 cups of cherry tomatoes instead of 2 and that sort of thing. And I did 2 tests on each. And ChatGPT each time was accurate. I was thrilled. And it gave me the link to watching the Barefoot Contessa on the Food Network.
bonus.
Showing, you know, how she made the recipe. So I thought, well, this could be a helpful tool. I just wanted to share that.
So share with you about the birthday card you did for your grandson too.
Oh, gosh, I do, I didn't know about the formula, I love the formula, context, purpose, and tone, and I was doing it, but I was just jumbling it all in my blah, 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 blah. Please do this, you know, for all family members, I do a birthday, you know, nice little birthday thing, and I put it on Family Chat and Messenger. And so this time I used ChatGPT and I said who it was for and their birthday and they're in the Navy and they like this and that and the other and blah, 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 all this stuff. And it came up with amazing. And I asked for a poem. And I've been using that recently the last few months with all our.
That is so cool.
It's
That is so thoughtful. I want to try that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And then I go and I copied it to notes. Because I keep it in notes, and then I sent a copy to my husband in case I messed up and deleted it, and then I put my emojis in, and then I copy and paste and put it in Messenger. It's clunky the way I've been doing it, but it's getting done. But this is going to really help me. I've learned so many pieces. My brain is swirling with. You could do this and this and this.
Wait, so you put in information describing your family member and
Yes.
you asked ChatGPT to generate a poem based on that about them?
Yes, a birthday. Please create a birthday poem for my grandson who's 27 years old. He's in the Navy, he's married with his wife's name, they like to do this and that and the other, and all of these little details and his characteristics. He's kind, he's thoughtful, he's a good cook. You know, all of these little things can be a blessing.
It came out beautifully.
That is so cool. I know there's a lot of discourse about AI kind of ruining creativity and original thought, but I also think there are things like that I would not even attempt on my own. But you can get really creative with AI.
It's saving me hours because I used to do not in poem format, but just nice prose with all these thoughtful, uplifting, encouraging things that would, you know, they would feel good about and just to celebrate them. But ChatGPT on this just in the last couple months has been such a time saver.
Well, you mentioned something earlier, Kata, that I didn't think about. You were saying like that once these programs get used to your skills, your writing style, blah, 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 it can let you know what your strengths are.
Yeah. So I have one of my friends, Matt, he is also a contractor and he uses ChatGPT for everything. And because he has the paid version, ChatGPT was able to like keep learning from him. And then he asked him like, describe me as a person. And ChatGPT like came with a description about him. I don't know if I still have it. Give me 1 second if I can find it.
Interesting.
That'd be kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's like the equivalent of asking like
Right.
to describe.
You're rude, you're impatient.
Like, am I ready to get roasted?
You need to apologize to Connie.
Well,
Okay.
with ChatGPT, and probably the other ones do the same thing. At the bottom, there's a like thumbs up, thumbs down for what
Yeah.
they gave you back.
Oh.
And so I think it's important to utilize
use-
those so
yeah.
that it learns. That's the best way it's going to learn is if you say, nope, you know, this was terrible what you wrote, or hey, this is great.
Right, yeah, that's a good idea, okay.
Okay, so I found it and my friend asked like, describe me based on our chats, make it catchy. And his name, builder of decks, businesses and life with intention, a hands-on entrepreneur with a hustle, a startup founder, and the soul of a biohacker. Oh my God. You run a thriving construction company in California's Central Coast, mastering everything from custom decks to razor-sharp operations, all while raising 2 kids, chasing longevity, and occasionally turning up in a 90-minute dirt bike race. You optimize life like it's a sport, dialing your supplements, tweaking your focus. Okay, that's enough of my. Yeah,
We gotta redact the name.
yeah, we gotta redact. I didn't say the name, but yeah, he likes to take a lot of supplements and stuff like that, and clearly he's been asking ChatGPT about it.
Okay, so that kind of brings us to like how you can maybe get started with AI if you're using it for the first time or wanting to explore a different platform than what you're using. So Kata included some great tips here. So if you use Gmail, maybe start with Gemini because it integrates well with Google devices or Google services. If you want simplicity, try ChatGPT, very user friendly, and maybe I would consider ChatGPT like a gateway AI. Like,
Yeah.
it's very easy to use, very
Yeah.
friendly. It's the one I've experimented with so far.
Very accurate.
Pretty accurate, yeah. Or if you write longer emails, like Kata was saying, Claude might be better because it handles complex requests well.
Yeah, I use Claude also for coding.
Coding?
Yes.
Coding what?
I do stuff that you don't know about.
Wait, did you?
You don't know.
I know. Sure.
Okay,
Kata
we're
has an
thinking
engineer.
here.
She's an engineer by.
She really speaks to the CIA.
She does.
No, but for instance, I was working on this dashboard and I needed to use some SQL language that is like for handling databases, and I haven't used it in a while, so I forgot. And I was like, this is what I want to create. Can you create a SQL code for me? And it did. And I was
don't even know what
like,
you
that's amazing. It's one of the languages that you can use for
Yeah.
coding. And I was like, that's
Cool.
amazing. It saves me so much time because I know how to do it. I don't use it often, but I'm good enough that if I see the content that it gives back, I can tell like, oh, this is right or this is wrong.
And which one did you use to do that?
It's Claude.
Claude.
Claude is very, very good with coding requests.
But it seems to me as if we're talking about this, that one thing, it spurs your creativity.
Yes.
It's a
Mhm.
partner for that.
Yeah.
It's not, taking over your life, but it can really get you going,
Yeah.
easier than if you're just sitting down and hunting and pecking for the right words or the right
Yeah.
tone, or, it just gets you going. I like it.
So when you're starting off using AI, you can definitely kind of like start small and build up if you're wanting to kind of practice using it in different scenarios. So maybe you'll start with simple requests like help me write a thank you note, like low stakes emails, casual family messages. A tip, like we said, always read the AI suggestions before using them. And remember that you are still the author. AI just helps you express yourself in most cases better, but differently, however you're requesting it really. And it's okay to only use parts of what AI suggests.
Yeah.
Sometimes I pick and choose from the responses it gives me what I carry over to my email responses. And the way that these could, benefit your daily life might be better family communication, express yourself more clearly with loved ones. I think this is something I need to explore a little more living with
Yeah,
my
me
mom.
too. It is very good for that.
How do I communicate this boundary in a loving way?
Right, yeah. It is so good with that. It's amazing. It's like because there's a lot of that out there, but it's very hard to find like the specific thing that you want.
In terms of advocacy, you can get better results when dealing with businesses and services. Organized living, so keeping track of important tasks and information with all the list examples that we gave. Maintained independence, handling your own communication confidently. And stress reduction, we all love this. Spend less time worrying about how to phrase things. Let AI worry for you. So again, like AI doesn't really replace your voice. It just helps you express things in a better way based on what you're asking it to do. These tools are designed to help and assist and aid. rather than intimidating. It can be, I think, really easy, especially for someone like me who's not very tech savvy, to think about AI as this huge, nebulous, gigantic cloud in the sky full of things I don't understand because it's new and there's new things coming out about it all the time. But I was actually surprised at how easy it was to use. For me, which is saying a lot. Oh, this is cute. Your life experience gives you wisdom. AI just helps you communicate it.
Oh, that's good.
Gosh, that's good.
So, you know, in terms of next steps from this session, if you're thinking about using AI, maybe start with one AI tool, become familiar with it. Try a couple different situations, a regular email situation to practice with. I'm sure as we've been going through these examples today, you've probably thought of your own about ways that you can use AI. Does anyone want to share them? Has any inspiration come to anyone today?
Well, it's funny, this isn't, this is going backward, but at UC Santa Cruz, there used to be no grades, but you had to write a narrative evaluation for each student. And you couldn't just use a menu. This is even before people were using computer menus a lot, you know, in the mid-90s early. And it was such a difficult, you know, I had 25 students and they were in, you know, 2 or 3 different classes. It was hours and hours to finish these narrative evaluations. And I think, holy moly, I would just, it would, you know,
I could have done it in an hour.
I know, you know, and that just, it's incredible. So for things like that, that seem mindless, but you want to be attentive and careful, you know, and have a little individuality, but you know, to have a partner come up with some ideas instead of draining my own brain, I love it.
Yeah.
So I could really see that. I could see using that in different areas.
Yeah.
I can give an example. So I wanted to learn a little bit, or not learn, I just want to know a little bit more about ChatGPT before today's session so I could absorb all this additional information. So Friday, I really dove into it. In fact, I probably just like dove into the deep end. So for years now, I've been compiling a narrative of my dad's time in World War II. And I've done all the research, I have all the facts, and it's all listed by day what happened. And I just said, let me see what ChatGPT can do with this. And I said, you know, please keep all the real military, keep it a military tone for all the information that's in here, but make it a little bit more personal about my dad. And then I listed he was a bomber pilot. So then I listed all of his crew members and what positions they were in. And I said, can you take this information and create more of a story out of it, but keeping the real factual information. And it's been doing a beautiful job. So it's taken this, what I thought was a great document, but it's really a boring factual, here's all what happened. And it turned it into, you know, this whole narrative about my dad, and it interjects all the different names of the crew members in there. And then this morning I said, I wonder if it can create a map. And so I asked it, I just said, can you create a map for me? And can I play it real quick?
Yeah, please do.
It's my Victor getting to it. There's a long pause.
Put it on your Victor. That's a great idea.
There's a long pause here in the beginning. I apologize for that. I thought I fast forwarded.
Map creation request document. If I give you the parameters, can you create a map? Map creation request document. If I give you the parameters, can you create a map? Clickable yes, I can create a map for you. Just give me the parameters you have in mind. Please include details such as list bullet geographic area, E.G. Europe, Italy, a specific airbase, etc. Bullet type of map, E.G. Topographic, historical, mission route, tactical, etc. Bullet time period, if it's historical, like World War II. Bullet labels or features to include, E.G. Airfields, mission targets, flight paths, troop movements, etc. Bullet style preferences, E.G. Vintage, modern, sketch style, satellite view, etc. Out of list. Once I have that info, I can generate a detailed map for your memoir. Copy button, good response button, bad response button, end of note.
That is so cool. I never thought of that.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
And I don't know what the output would look like, and not that I'd actually even be able to see it, but my family members will be able to see it, and so I just thought it'd be fun to play around with creating
You and Bevy both kind of mentioned today working on like family history
Mhm.
projects with AI, and I just think that is so cool.
Yeah.
I have a couple things at home that were my dad's that I've been wanting to kind of make into a book or something that I can give to family
That's
members.
what I'm doing. Yeah.
And those mementos are so special. So to have a tool in order to help make that easier and like more efficiently, because family histories and all of that information like can be so complex. And so all over the place you have like family trees over here and you have this over here, and to kind of put that all into one thing that you can pass down is just so cool.
Well, and I think she said blah, 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 blah. No, she didn't say that. She said.
Yeah,
After
not on my
all.
screen.
And I found that it's really accurate, and it has to be going out to the internet,
Yeah.
because it brought back details about the specific air squadron my dad was
Oh
in.
my gosh.
The base, and it knew he was in Italy. I mean, it just knew,
Wow,
it
that
was
is so
amazing that it could pick up all
You
this
using the
stuff.
paid version?
I'm using the paid
Yeah,
version.
wow. So it even filled in some information based on what I could find.
Yes.
Wow.
But then, like the human interaction with it, I then Googled and researched and verified that what it did
Yeah.
was
Was
true.
absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bob, when is your dad's World War II novel gonna hit?
Maybe we need to have like a book signing. Gonna hold it in the conference room.
World War II, well then, of course, the book club will read it.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And you don't have to pay any royalties to AI.
It brings up for me, this is Patrice, but journaling also, just to help you get started. If you have an idea or a memory, or even what frustrated you today, or whatever it is. I have a friend who is religious about writing every day, and she goes back and looks at it a year later or 2 years later and sees, on that same date, and sees what happened, what has changed. And I think this could really be a great tool to get you started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the practical stuff. I think I'm gonna go home like your idea and help with my grocery planning and stuff. That's something every day I think about.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
what am I
can
gonna have
even
for dinner
do that.
today? Do I have the ingredients?
In your phone, I can even take a picture of my fridge and then
Yeah,
tell me like,
absolutely.
give me recipes of what can I cook with what I have in my fridge.
So can you like if you took a picture of your, say, Google Keep, I have a problem, Eric has a problem, when I give him a list, it has to be a text, because when he's in the grocery store, often his email won't work, he's not getting it, doesn't come through. I guess my question is, if I usually just write a text, it's no big deal, and dictate the list, but could I just take a picture of an ongoing list? I can text it to him, this isn't anything about AI, excuse me, never mind. I answered my own question, going down the road, oh, I get it, okay, thank you. I think
glad to be able to help you talk that
Yes,
through.
thank you.
I'm totally confused.
Yeah, no, as always, but I wanna say, Debbie, for possibly a tips and tricks,
Yeah.
how to use the camera, how, to screen share, not screen share, but to take, pictures, and how you can disseminate them to different places to help people or to help yourself.
I think that's a great
Yeah, I think
idea.
that,
Although we'd have to have somebody else lead it probably, but
maybe,
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
we'll
you
figure it
could
out.
lead it.
Hopefully at Tech It Out, they might talk about this a little bit. The InnoSearch folks are gonna be at, and I just listened to a podcast where they have I don't know, cooperation agreement or partnership between them and Be My Eyes now.
Yeah.
And they are working on stuff that's amazing. You're gonna be able to point your camera at anything and say, buy me one of these. And it'll go out and it'll find it and it'll come back, say, here's where you can get it and here are the prices.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's only getting more advanced and like what the things that you can do today compared to the things that you'll be able to do in a year. It's just mind blowing. Like I don't even know what's gonna happen.
Isn't it a fun time to be alive?
I know, just thinking about it.
It's kind of expected. Some people really don't like
Definitely,
it.
though, 'cause like, last week it couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then this week it can. I'm like, oh,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
I just feel like, wait a minute, my world is changing. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Well, thank you guys so much for all this information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for letting us crash your tips and tricks.
Yes. Oh, this is wonderful. And if we can have a copy of the document, you can send it to us. That just have ChatGPT do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it might be a lot of pages. It is a lot of pages, but we can send out basically everything that we talked about today.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah.
Thanks to AI who helped us work
Yeah.
on it in the first place.
Yes. Does anybody, is there's people still online?
We have 3
Yeah,
folks
I'm
still.
here.
Does anybody, or do any of you have any questions?
Oh my gosh, lots, but it'll have to come over time. I'm going to, yeah, I have an idea of what I want to look up and what I'm going to try with ChatGPT. So, thank you for helping me get started.
Thanks for joining, Perla. And maybe we can have more AI stuff as things change, like Bob said.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
new sort of ways of using AI.
Right.
come
Maybe
out.
once every 6 months or something.
Yeah.
Or-
It
Yeah.
could be kind of a topic that we revisit from time to time.
And I would say too, if you find something cool that you've done with AI, just share it because you don't know like what it can expire in someone else. Like whenever I do something cool, I share with Sophia, I share with my husband, check out what I did. And he's like, oh wow, now I can do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Donna, do you have any questions?
I can't think of a single question right now. My mind is full of all kinds of exciting things to try. I'm so grateful to have been a part of this and for all the effort that's been put into it. But I'll have questions later. I'll text them in.
I know I thought of you during the session because you really have been wanting to write, do some writing. And so this might just be your ticket.
The brain is moving in that direction for sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And
This is Betsy. I want to thank you also. It's been a big help to me to get some more grounding. I've started to use it with Roberto and I'm really excited to get back to it. So thank you again.
So glad you joined us, Betsy.
Yes.
Thanks, Vivi.
Mm-hmm.
All right.